Our next reader this evening, a guy that I totally admire, Ethan Rutherford. Please give him a hand.
Thank you very much. It is truly a nightmare to follow that. Although I would like to say thank you for the name of my next novel, which will be Boner Erosion. Joe Biden is suddenly just sort of really just burned into my mind here. It's truly an honor to be up here tonight on a bill with all of these fine people. I was flattered when Lucas asked me to be part of it. It'll be a night of love, lust, libations, and romantic lunacy, he said. You'll fit right in. I told my wife, and after she finished laughing, she said, "You're sure he meant you, right?" I told her, of course. It'll be an evening of confessions, declarations, and hilarious/transcendent sex scenes. In other words, just a regular Wednesday night in the Rutherford household. She said, "Be sure to mention that to a room full of strangers." So first, a confession. I have tried many times to write a sex scene with the intention of leaving the reader hot and bothered. The results have been uniformly terrible and have left the unlucky few who have read them less hot and more bothered. Bothered by what? I can't really say. Well, I don't want to say, but the scenes were flagged and critiqued in workshop for being both baroque and overly clinical. A meet cute between a high-heated historical romance and the Discovery Channel. Someone told me that sex, while a real thing, doesn't appear to be something I've ever had. So what we're talking about here is a question of verisimilitude. I asked, how about if I just cut away from the scene and insert a couple of ellipses, and then open the next paragraph with someone waking up in the morning and saying, "Man, that was amazing, right?" At that point in the workshop, I think everyone pretty much gave up, and so have I. And so, while I'm sad to say you won't be getting any of the good stuff from me tonight, the stuff that occurs within the ellipses, the stuff that fiction should be about and often is. It's my sincere hope that someone after me will read something both hilarious and transcendent, which is to say, human, and we'll all go home happy. But it is almost Valentine's Day, a holiday I have managed to botch every single year since grade school. Back when it was mandatory to give everyone in your class Valentines. When, if you really wanted to express your love for someone whose name was Blythe Mackey, a girl you perhaps loved as long as you could remember and somewhere still loved deeply, you had to ask your mom to help you come up with ideas about how to express that love. And then you watched those ideas, when put into practice, ridiculed by your entire 4th grade class. And if you have continued botching this holiday all the way up into your adult life by, say, telling someone you bought them flowers but they were stolen out of your car, but hey, just wait until later. When we do something human and transcendent, then at a certain point you come face to face with your deficiencies in the face of the Hallmark-sanctioned love holiday. So yes, this holiday is forced on us. But who doesn't love the candy? Who doesn't love being told they are loved and appreciated? So I have vowed to do better this year, and I've also vowed to learn how to write a sex scene that will, in fact, leave everyone hot and bothered. This, I told myself, would be my Valentine to my long-suffering wife, sitting right up here, as well as my Valentine to Lucas and to the rest of you. So to the internet, I went. So a note of caution. Be careful when typing sex scene ? Into Google search. It gets you somewhere amazing, in fact, but not exactly where you want to go if you are trying to learn how to improve yourself as a writer. A better search might be, I am a writer and I'm hoping to become better and more adept at writing intimate scenes between my characters. Do you have any suggestions? ? Hit enter and watch the envelope you tape to your desk fill up with Valentines. The first thing that I learned was that in not writing sex scenes, I have almost certainly been resigning myself to obscurity as a writer. Roth, Updike, Mailer, Ning, E.L., James, those names are etched in stone. And sure, they are total pervs. But they are widely read pervs, whose writing brought them large houses and pools and ponies. But it's one thing to say, sure, do that, write like Roth and Updike, and it's another to do it. I needed a blueprint, a how-to, and so, thank you, Internet, I found one. E-How to the rescue. This was the first and presumably most popular search result, and here I'll put a link, and you can thank me later. Quote, there's only one of two reasons for a reader not wanting a love scene to take place in your novel. One, they picked up a spicy book accidentally. Spicy. Two, the writer didn't set the stage for the love scenes early or enough. If there is no tension between a couple, no exaggerated awareness, a love scene is going to shock and embarrass the reader as much as it will the characters. The last thing a writer wants is a sensual scene that's awkward. When the hero and heroine finally come together for a kiss, an intimate touch or lovemaking, the reader has to be exalted, panting for consummation, ready to claw tooth and nail to see that these two characters have a clear path to the bedroom and aren't interrupted while there! Exclamation point. Now, in this example, the hero and heroine are in this room together for the very first time in 2 years. Notice the details as you read this excerpt. It's as if this is still E-How. It's as if time stands still for the heroine during these minutes of facing him without warning. The way they look at each other, their breathing, right down to the sound of their voices when they talk, reveals the depths of their feelings for one another. And here are the lines from the story. Before she could finish and fathom the strangely uncomfortable expression on her father's face, the back door opened. Lori not only lost her train of thought, she lost all coordination. Why didn't I prepare myself for this possibility? Her chaotic mind wailed. How could she prepare herself? Prepare herself for a man who left her utterly boneless every time he looked her way when she was just a teenager. A man who, now, at 38, affected her twice what he had in her troubled teen years. 10 times that! Exclamation point. Their gazes met and locked, sweeping her out of reality on a tidal wave of emotion, like always. Why had nothing changed? She'd been gone for so long, any reaction to him should have been mild. She'd been all over the world. She'd met and dated a lot of other men. She'd somehow convinced herself that Blackie was part of her reckless youth, a part that had no ground in reality, certainly not in her present or her future. But God, he was sexy, dark, dangerous, that sense of the untamed, just barely suppressed below the surface. And here, there's an ellipses. End quote. So now, I'm coming to this in good faith. As a writer, I'm trying to get better. But I'll admit to being confused, just a little bit here. So, in the first part of this article, the how-to section, we're told to avoid scenes that might make the characters and the readers feel uncomfortable. Quote unquote, the last thing a writer wants is a sensual scene that's awkward. But in that magnificent and deeply weird first line, we are told that the heroine's father, who wonderfully is wearing a strangely uncomfortable expression on his face, is standing in the room with her as she loses all coordination. Not only that, we are told that before she could finish whatever it is that she's doing, the back door opened, which, call me old-fashioned and inexperienced in the ways of love, but that strikes me as a little like putting the cart before the horse, if you know what I'm saying. I'm feeling a lot of things, reading this opening sentence, primarily discomfort, but okay. I guess if you have to jump right in and also include your father in the scene, that's fine. And I suppose you go ahead and you pepper the foreplay with a hint that the back door will eventually be involved, and you build tension that way. And then we get to the tidal wave of emotion, the troubled teen years. This is all very important backstory. The sense that a 38-year-old man who leaves her completely boneless, though presumably not for long. Finally, we get to the sexy visitor himself. He's dark and dangerous, with a sense of the untamed, just barely suppressed below the surface. And his name is Blackie. Now, I don't have enough context here to know just how racist this may or may not be. But on first read, this seems, racist. But even if I give the passage the benefit of the doubt and say, no, this can't be racist, it's on the internet. Who doesn't know that Blackie is also the name of the horse from Black Beauty? Which gives perhaps an even more uncomfortable gloss to the entire mise-en-scène. So, up at this point, while I will admit to wanting to know what in the holy hell these two are going to get up to as soon as that back door shuts, and the father gets the hint and leaves to go buy hay or something, at this point I'd say that my temperature has not successfully been raised, and the figurative boner has left the figurative building. But so where does this leave us? I have absolutely no idea. I have learned nothing about writing sex scenes except that I no longer have any desire to do so. And you have learned nothing at all. But I do know this. This year, I'm not going to botch Valentine's Day. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to buy some flowers from the grocery store. And I'm going to write a nice card, and after work, I'm going to walk into the back door of my house. And I'm going to greet my wife, and I'm going to hope that her father isn't anywhere around, and then I'm going to cross my fingers that whatever happens next will be happy and transcendent. The kind of thing that people, better writers than I, work diligently to put onto paper and into books, which then go on to become national bestsellers, a la Rabbit Run, a la Sport and a Pastime, a la 50 Shades of Grey, and a la The Black Beauty, that perennial children's classic, narrated by a good-natured and very adventurous horse.